Hello everyone. So this is going to be a bit of a different video. Obviously, if you've seen my social media, you'd know that since I got back from the cruise, both myself and Mrs. Wayno we were both testing positive for COVID. So I thought I would just give you my thoughts, my experiences and stuff like that of the whole situation. From, I've done pretty well to survive 4 years since the outbreak, to not get it. So obviously, as a lot of you well know, I am high risk. So obviously, when I did test positive, obviously panic stations, I was concerned, obviously, because of my lung condition, that obviously I was going to end up in a hospital. It started off just really as a cold, and I sort of just feel a bit under the weather, sort of blocked nose, sore throat, bit of a cough, nothing really else. And then I saw in one of the Facebook groups that some other people who had been on the cruise, not with us, but obviously on the same cruise as us, had tested positive, and just advising people just to do the same. So therefore, me and Mrs. Wayno, excuse me, and Mrs. Wayno did decide to do a couple of tests. She tested positive pretty much straight away. I tested positive about 24 hours later. So again, for both of us, really, it was sort of a cold. With myself, it always manifests to a chest infection, and I always end up, really chesty, having to take antibiotics and my steroids and stuff like that. Mrs. Wayno, it goes to her head, so she suffers from sinus issues. So she said how she puts it is that it's like being underwater, so sort of like can't hear anything, everything's like really sort of muffled, and you're sort of like in a mind fog as such. So obviously I came back from the cruise. Obviously a lot of people might not realise as well that I've started a new job. So I'd been in my new job or my new role for a week and a half, and obviously then going away on the cruise, coming back obviously with COVID. Luckily, I can do the job from home. So obviously, last thing I wanted to do was make anybody else ill over Christmas. So I obviously let my boss know, and worked from home, and obviously everything that I could do via Teams, which I did, and they've been fantastic. So they're really sympathetic and understanding group of individuals that I work with now. So I'm really, really pleased of that, and out of the situation I was at my previous role. So obviously starting to get a little bit better towards the end of the week, sort of like the lead up to Christmas, and then all of a sudden, bang, it hit us both again. And this happened last year. We both got really bad colds when we came back from America, again at Christmas. So it sort of hit us almost like a second wave sort of thing. So it's now the 29th of December. So, and Mrs. Wayno's really is not well, with her head and stuff like that. Both negative. We're no longer testing positive for COVID. So that's good. My experiences with it was I'm glad I have the vaccine, and I've had 5 doses of that, and I'm so glad I did, because if I didn't, I don't know what would have happened. Now I know there's going to be people that are going to watch this and go, the vaccine is a load of bullshit. It's just a placebo, or it's some sort of chip so the government can spy on you. That's fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinions. People don't want to have the vaccine, that's entirely up to them. I don't judge people for those that don't. And you have your opinions. So before everyone starts jumping on the comments and saying, it's a load of old bullshit and all that, believe me, having COVID is no joke. And, you know, to be in the position where, unfortunately, when the outbreak happened, we lost somebody very close to us who died of COVID. So it is, again, something obviously I need to be more wary of. Now, one of the things the NHS has told me, because I am vulnerable, is that I am eligible for some antiviral drugs. So as soon as I test positive, I just need to contact the NHS and they will arrange for these antiviral drugs to be sent to me. Now, there are various different ones, purely because obviously things like if you're on medication, they might interact with other medication that you might be currently taking. So that's why there's about 3 or 4 different ones that you can take. I don't have a list of them, but I'm sure you can look them up on the internet if you wanted to do so. Now, I rang my GPs to be told that, oh no, it's not us that organise that, it's the NHS. So you need to dial 111 and have a chat with them, which I did, to then be told, actually, it's not us that deal with that, it's your GP service. But we'll arrange, because of, you know, the situation that you're in, we'll arrange for one of our doctors to give you a call. So nothing happened. I get a call about a day later from my GP saying that they'd been contacted by 111, and again, it wasn't down to them to issue the drugs, and that I had to go onto the NHS website. At this point, I was getting extremely frustrated because it was like nobody wanted to help me. So, as you can appreciate, you know, when you're ill, you know, all you want to do is get yourself better, especially in the lead up to Christmas. You know, especially if you're planning on seeing loved ones or friends and stuff like that, and you can't do so because you can't leave the house. So, cut a long story short, there was nothing on the NHS website. You fill out a load of things, and then again, it tells you to contact your GP surgery. So the whole situation is absolute rubbish. I tried to reach out to the NHS via their Twitter, or X as it's now called, and they didn't even respond to me. So I appreciate they're busy. You know, Christmas is a busy time for a lot of people. They're understaffed. I get that. You know, I got no qualms. You know, and I think that the nurses, the doctors that work in the hospitals, been treating the COVID patients and everything else that's been going on, you know, I think that's great and really admirable, and take my hats off to them. But it's the people who deal with the processes and just want to pass the buck. And whoever looks after their social media is useless. They're absolutely awful. They never got back in contact with me or anything like that. So very, very disappointed. I am on the mend. You know, it's not something I would like to get again, you know, believe me. But now I've had it, it's not so much of a worry, you know, because I've sort of come through the other side pretty much unscathed. So I'm still not 100%. But this is the first opportunity I've had sort of to try and get a video out regarding this. Obviously, I've had ones that have all been set up, planned for weeks in advance. You know, as I like to do all my videos sort of a week or weeks in advance, just to make things a little bit easier on me with things like this. You never know what's going to come around the corner. So, but I just, as I say, it's just a sort of, I know it's been nearly 10 minutes, this video. So, again, I just wanted just to give you guys my interpretation of how my experience of having COVID was, you know, and I hope to see a few of you very soon, or see your comments regarding this. So, stay safe, everybody. Have a lovely New Year's Eve, whatever you're doing. I'm going to see my sister and my mum tomorrow. Now I finally can. And then on New Year's Eve, I say I'm just going to stay in and just chill out. All ready for 2nd of January, back to work, raring to go. So stay safe, everybody. And until next time, Wayno out.